Okay, we're back. Let's go live. This is James Maduke speaking from trainingsites.io, Teach Online. They both go to the same place. And what I want to do today is a bit of a follow-up from the last video that I did yesterday. So yesterday I talked about the fact that you don't need to finish a course before you start selling it. And today what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you how that gets set up so that even before you get your courses finished, you can start selling them and marketing them. So we're going to go through the exact setup on how to set your course for drip lessons on one or two popular platforms, or way to deliver them. Show you the specific settings and how that actually works. So what are the three things here? I'm going to show you a live site setup. I'm going to show you how to create the stuff or the lessons in the content that can go in them. So we'll show you a little bit of a syllabus I put together for ChatGPT or with ChatGPT to create the outline. And then we'll add it as a course. So I'm going to have a live site example to show you. I'm going to show you a script for a brand new course, and then we're going to add it to a platform just so that you can see how it works. Now, the interesting thing here is I'm going to show this to you today on a platform called LearnDash, which is running on a WordPress site. But for all intents and purposes, it's always the same on every single platform. They all have this feature. So if you're doing it on WordPress and you're using Tutor LMS or Lifter LMS or LearnDash, these learning management softwares on your WordPress site, you can do that. If you're using Teachable or Kajabi or some of the other paid services where you can rent space on their platforms, they do the exact same thing as well. So it's not really dependent on the piece of software you're using. It's all about the way that you set up your lessons or drip them. So here's a good example of what we're going to do. And I'll show it to you in a second. But at the big picture for all of this, all that we're doing is we're putting all of the names of the lessons in and maybe a brief description of them, but we're setting them so that each lesson has a wait period before it becomes available to anyone who enrolls. So what does that actually look like and how does that work? So let's go take a look at a course that I have on trainingsites.io just to see how it works. And this is a course about how to give courses away and why you might want to do that to sell more courses. So this is an example of one here. I think there's 10 or 13 lessons in it. So I'll just show you how this kind of works. And you can see here that I have course content, right? So I've got, these ones are lessons. I've got, what is this, 7, 8, 9, 11 lessons and some quizzes that are here. So I've got a list of lessons that are available, but am I going to give it right away to people? Well, we don't necessarily have to, and here's a couple of the settings that are going to work. When you are working on a course or looking at a course or setting up your course, the majority of them will have a place where you can actually go and play around with the settings. So I'm in the course here on LearnDash, and you can see that there's a tab here across the top, moving my mouse here, called Settings. Make sure you can see it. So we've got settings, and there's a whole bunch of additional settings that are available for almost every course platform that you see. There's a couple that I'm not familiar with that might be different, but most of them have this as a bit of a setup. And this is the one that's interesting when we look at this one. So if we set it up, we have to set whether it's paid or freed, a one-time purchase or a part of a membership or subscription. And it has some information about prerequisites, that kind of thing. But if we have down further, it says course navigation settings. So what's that about? This is the way that anyone who signs up or who is enrolled for this course, this is how they get to take the course. So this one requires the user to progress through the course in the designated step sequences or freeform. So if I have 10 lessons and I want people to take Lesson 1, Lesson 2, Lesson 3, and take them in order, I'm going to set this to linear. So I don't want them to be able to go, oh, this is Lesson 1. I think it's going to be interesting. This is Lesson 7. That's all I want to know about. I'm the instructor, and for me to provide the information and the outcome that I'm promising, I want to make sure that they take the lessons and actually go through each of the lessons. So I have this marked to linear. So that's the important part for the entire course. That means they take lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, etc., etc. So I've got that set up. Now the next thing is I'm going to go take a look and say, okay, well, actually I'll save this one just so that we have it and it shows up elsewhere. So that's the first part. I got my lessons set up. They have to be taken in order. The next part is when you do that, the lessons have to be taken in order. But if someone purchases and they say, yeah, I just want to buy the course, can they buy the course? Yeah, right away. And if you have 3 hours of content, technically what they can do is they can go and take that entire course, every of the 10 lessons, do all of the videos, all of the work, but they can do it in one day. And what I was talking about yesterday was the fact that you can have your course outline and your course laid out, but if we're going to use drip lessons, we can have it set up so that they only get a lesson or grouping of lessons during the first week after they enroll. So in the example I'm going to use, you're going to see that we can actually have it set up so that they get lesson 1, 2, and 3 on week 1. They get lessons 4, 5, and 6 on week 2, and so on for the month. And what that means for us as first-time course creators is technically we only need to have the first 3 lessons done in this example. We don't have to have all the other ones completed. It gives us another week or another 2 weeks or 3 weeks in that to actually have all of the course content done. And as I talked about yesterday, this gives you a whole bunch of benefits in being able to make sure that you've got the right content for the right person and that you're presenting it in a way that makes sense for them. And this takes a lot of pressure off, especially if you're a first-time course creator. So we got these settings here. We've got it set to linear. Let's go to this next part of the tab here, and it says Builder. So in LearnDash, this is the builder that allows you to add all of your individual lessons and then see it on one page. So I'm just going to click Builder, and you can see that I have all of my lessons here in order. So again, this has to be taken in order. They can't move around all over the place. But what I want to do is I want to go and take a look at this, and I want to say, well, when does course 1 become available? When does course 2 become available, and so on. So depending on what it is that you're teaching, and I'll show you a live example after. So for example, if you were teaching a course on for beginners on how to use digital cameras, but I'll just show you this one here. So the first lesson I have to have done, that's the first one. I got to make sure that's available. So that's set, it's available right away. But what about lesson 2 in this example? If I go and I open up lesson 2, and I'll open it up in a new tab. We'll open up new ones just so that we see it. So I'm opening up and I'm going to edit lesson 2. And again, all of the platforms have this similar kind of feature. So I'll wait till this loads here in the background. Hopefully it'll load here quickly. There we go. So I'm going to go and it's going to put some text in that was here in the course. And what I'm going to do in this one, you can see there's settings. So I'm going to go settings. I'm going to take a look at it. And it has lesson materials, video progression, which is another kind of piece to look at after, assignments and timers. This is how the actual content is consumed. But here's the interesting one. It says lesson access settings. In this one it says, by default, it's immediately. So it's available as soon as they're enrolled. But what I want to do is I want to drip this one lesson. So I click enrollment based and I say this lesson will be available X days after they enroll. So I'm just going to say 1 day. Now, if someone takes the course today, they have to wait 1 day before they get this lesson. If you had it to specific date, you could have a launch date or a cohort or group of people that go through, and you say this course will be available on September 1st of 2024 or whatever date, or October 1st of 2024. So you can have it so it's a specific date, so it's always available. And you can set this one to the future as an example of if you want to sell a whole course before it was available. But in our case, we're just going to drip it. So I'm going to say 1 day. So that means that if someone goes to the course and they go to click on those lessons and mark them as complete, when they get to the one that's number 2, and if it hasn't been a day since they enrolled, they're going to get a message that says, sorry, this course is available to you on tomorrow or the next day, for example. So there's lesson 2. That one is 1 day after they enrolled. Now, what about lesson 3? So let's open up lesson 3. And when we open up lesson 3, what it does is it says the exact same thing. We can open it up and we're going to go and set the permissions or access permissions. But on this one, what we'll do, and got a slow internet connection here today, so I apologize for the wait. We'll open up this one here. Hopefully we get a screen. Come on. It's taking its time. So we're gonna go and we're gonna set this one for 2 days. So it's 2 days after they enrolled. Now the interesting thing here when we're looking at this in this wait period, you have to remember that just because I set the first one at 1 doesn't mean I have to set this one at 2. I could set it at 1. I could set it at 3. I can set it at 5. I can have a group of lessons that actually show up at the same time. So let me just refresh my screen here to see if I can get this to load, because it's not. Come on. Who knows there's my internet connection again. Pardon me for that. Okay. So we got my lesson here. I'm going to go to settings. This is lesson 3. And when I open it up, I'm going to do enrollment based, but I'm going to do 2 days after enrollment. So this one is going to be available on day 2. So this is completely set now that I'm dripping the lessons. And if you're marketing your course or wanting to sell your course, what this means is you can start doing that today, and you don't actually have to have the content available until when? Until the day that you've promised after you make your first sale. And technically, if you wanted to set it a specific date, you could put the outline in that I'm going to show you in a second and only make it available on a certain date. So you can start pre-selling it and have people enroll in it based on your description of it and the outline or syllabus that you have, but not actually create it. And if you're having trouble selling it at the start, you might want to rethink how you've packaged it, the lessons and syllabus you've put together. So don't get hung up when you're creating your first course. And it's something that I did, is like, you don't need to create this huge course that's completely finished and completely perfect. You can drip the lessons individually, or you can actually have a launch date for the course. So how does that work in real life? What really happens? Let's take a look at, I'm going to open up a copy of ChatGPT here that I was playing around with. And I'll try and open that one up for us. Let's open the screen, move it up so it's there. So here's one. What I did on this one is I said, you know what? I'm going to create a course, a beginner course, just as an example. And I was asking ChatGPT. Now, this is something that I cover in a complete course, actually, on how to create courses with ChatGPT. And this is not, the prompts that I used here are not specific ones that I would use. The only thing I wanted to do is I wanted to show you kind of a syllabus or an outline and how we put it in. So in this particular one, I had just asked, I said, give me a 10-lesson course outline with homework tasks assigned to each lesson. And I also asked, I said, break it down into a schedule of those 10 lessons and put it into 4 weeks. So I have lesson 1, 2, and 3 is available in week 1. Lesson 3, 4, 5, and 6 is in week 2, and so on. So that means as a course seller and course creator, I have a whole month to finish my course. And the way that I actually added something here is I said, you know what? I want to make sure that they have a task or homework at the end of each lesson. And that way what happens is when someone's doing this, they're not going to feel that they have to go on unless they've done the homework. So this is what it gave me: understanding your camera and its features. And I asked for an explanation of it, the title of it. And then I had research 2 different types of cameras that fit your needs, write down their features and explanation of which one you would pick and why. So it's got a specific task or some homework that goes with each of them. So how does this actually work? How do we put it in a course, and how would we set it up? So let's do one here. I'll just do one for fun because we're here. I'm just going to go to new, and we'll do new course. We'll open up a brand new course, and what I'm going to do is I'll put the title of the course in, and then I'm just going to use the settings we talked about so that you can see how this works. We'll call it Digital Cameras for Beginners. And if I wanted to, I could actually have a course description. I'll come back to this. It might be fun to actually see. So I'm going to go to the settings next, and I'm going to say the first thing I want to do is we'll make it as, we'll keep it as free for now, but I'm going to say no prerequisites, but I'm going to say linear. So that means that the course has to be taken in order. People can't jump to the end. They got to take all of the steps. So that's the first thing that's there. The second thing is I want to go to the builder, and in the builder, I had some lessons and topics that I picked out, right? So the first thing I'm going to do, and I'll just show you how this happens. And here's a little tip that you might want to consider again that most of these do. So what I'm going to do is do a section. I'm just going to call it So I'm going to give it a section. It's going to be getting started week 1, just as an example. So what I need to do here is I need to add some lessons, right? The first lesson that I added, and what was the name of the first one we had? I'll open it up so we have it. It was, actually we'll do this one, understanding your camera and its features. It was already done for me. Let's see if I can minimize this so we can put it on one page. There we go. And we'll do this one here. Okay, so there we go. I might change it up a little bit. So let's edit this one. Got a section, understanding your camera and its features. And what I need now is I need to put the title, and the first title that I had was there it is. I'm going to add a lesson. The second one is I'm going to add a new lesson. Now this isn't the fastest way to do it. Obviously there's some other tricks on creating stuff faster, but I'm just showing it to you so that it's here. And I'm going to put a couple lessons in. And the first one, the one that I did before, remember it was talking about it, it said here's 10 lessons, but it said 1, 2, and 3 in week 1, and then 4, 5, and 6 in number 2. So week 2 is mastering basic photography settings. So I'm going to do a clean C, and then I'm just going to add a new section heading. And in this case, what I want to do is I've got my number 4. There's my section, so I'm going to add a new lesson. I'm going to add the lesson. I'll just do one more just so that you can see it. There we go. So I've now got 2 sections, week 1 and week 2. And in the first session, I made sure that I have a section, I have 1, 2, and 3. And then the next one I have 4, 5, and 6. And I put 4, and 5 in. So what do we need to do here? I'm going to go and I'm going to save a draft just so that we have it and don't lose anything. So we've got this set up. If this is your course, for example, you should have a syllabus and some idea of the order and sequence of stuff is done if you follow the other steps that I've been talking about. But we got the sections here. I don't have to finish the course. All I need to do is that first week, I need to make sure that I have the first 3 lessons done. So by default, these ones will be available as soon as someone enrolls. If I enroll today, they're available. If I enroll tomorrow, they're available. If I enroll a year from now, they're available. On the other hand, let's go to this new section, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a right mouse click and I'm going to open up this individual lesson. And when I open up that lesson, should get a tab here, make it a little bit bigger. Hopefully the screen you can see okay. We'll use this one. Hopefully you'll be able to see that one a little bit better. Actually, I don't need this one anymore, so. Unfortunately, I have a slow internet connection today, so things are taking their time. There we go. Okay, so here's the lesson. And again, one of the things I could do if I put that explanation in that I got from ChatGPT, or if you've used ChatGPT, you actually might have the content for here already, correct? You may not have done the video, but you have the content that's there. But I'm just going to, in this case, this is the one that's back to the lessons. I'm just going to say on this one, it's enrollment based. And it's available 7 days after. Okay? So what's happened now is that this lesson, if someone enrolls today, it's only available in 7 days. If someone enrolls next month, they have to wait 7 days. And now this is completely taken care of in terms of access to the course. There's nothing else that you have to do in terms of creating the content immediately to start selling your course. And you're in total control of how long it is before people actually have to do or have to learn the next piece of your process or whatever you're teaching. Now, I'm aware of the fact that this may not obviously work for everyone, but I just want you to think about this to take off a little bit of the pressure. And remember, when you're launching a course and it's your first course and maybe you're a little bit nervous about the technology stuff and doing all the editing, I think it's a much easier way, and I talked about it yesterday, is to actually live stream, record what you have, at least get started, do the first 2 weeks of the course if you want to, and do the first 6 lessons as an example, just so that you have stuff under your belt, and then you can start marketing it. Market it to some beta testers as an example. Get some feedback, see what's working, see what's not, see what else people need or want to make sure that they can go through and have the content that they want. So this is just a simple little hack. It won't work for everyone, but if you're a first-time course creator, I highly recommend that you take the time to go and say, hey, I'm going to create my course. I'm going to earn a little bit of extra money. And the best part is I can start earning it before my course is finished. So if this is something that's of interest to you and you want to find out how to do this a little bit further, of course, make sure to go to trainingsites.io. We're just building out a new community plugin, which is quite a bit different than the one we had. And that's going to be in a video next week. So we're making stuff super simple. And this is something, if you want to teach online, if you want to earn money, sharing what it is that you know and already do, I think you're going to pick up a lot, not only from being a member, a free member of the community, but more importantly, all of the great videos like this that we have inside. And of course, like and subscribe to the channel. I do these every day, having a lot of fun doing it. And I would be really excited to get to know about your project, how you are working on or what you're working on, and then to see how I could possibly help. So my name's James. We'll see you again tomorrow, and I want to thank you for spending some time with me today. Have a good weekend. It's Friday afternoon for me here.